Peanuts were grown in a small way by a few farmers from 1901. They were also harvested by hand, pulled directly from the ground, realising a price of up to $120 per tonne. It was from 1922 that peanuts became a local industry. Production had reached 246 tonne. The development of the industry was hampered because of prices as low as $11 were offered by buyers who claimed they could import peanuts at this value from China. This led to farmers pooling their crops and appointing a board, which was made up of local growers. Thus, the Queensland Peanut Marketing Board was formed in 1924. It was doubtful back then if the industry would have a future, as peanuts were an expensive crop to produce. An itinerant worker nicknamed the Rhythm Kid wrote a poem in 1937 titled Nuts. This poem is still relevant today. You think the cocky is a snob. You ought to see him on the job with half the farm around his gob when he's thrashing peanuts. He dashes here, he dashes there like a panic-stricken hare with his mouth too full of dirt to swear when he's thrashing peanuts. The nuts fly outward from the drum. He loses most and rescues some. With blasted hopes and rage made dumb, he keeps on thrashing peanuts. Adding, subtracting, on he goes, with sun-dried bricks inside his nose. He's the bloke to stone the crows when he's thrashing peanuts. Caked with dirt and smeared with oil, he looks the part, but does he toil? Oh yes, he makes the billy boil when we're thrashing peanuts. When all is done to our relief, he tears out yet another leaf and signs our cheque with tears of grief when we're thrashing peanuts. Moaning and groaning on he goes with bandy legs and pigeon toes. Where he'll finish, God only knows when we're thrashing peanuts. Dust and ashes are his lot. The board stands by to scoop the pot. A cocky's life is not so hot when he's growing peanuts.
Well, we've got Gordon Jessen with us. He's from East Ruhlin, been on the peanut farm all his life out there. He's going to help us through the farm part of the video, and we've got a BTD6 there, is it, Gordon? Little crawler.
Yeah, it says somewhere about 24 horsepower.
Right. Those steam engines on the thrashers at the start, what was the story with them?
Well, they were mainly used on peanut thrashers, wheat thrashers, chaff cutters and boring plants. They used to run on wood to heat the water to get the steam, and they had a water joey. He used to cart the wood and keep the water up to them.
Right. What horsepower were they?
They're only around about the 8 to 10 horsepower.
Right.
They were big horses back in those days.
Yeah, well, what are these Fordsons? What are they? And the Fergies?
Oh, the Fergie, I just wouldn't be sure on them, but the Fords, and they're around about the 24 horsepower.
Right. Just a lot different in physical size.
Yeah, a lot different.
Right. We go. Tandem turning some corn stubble in or something, is it?
That's what it looked like.
Yeah. This seed we're obviously planting peanuts now. Is Virginia bunch back then?
Yes, Virginia bunch, and they used to use the red Spanish in the lighter soil, sandy soil.
Right. Those steam engines, what era were they worked in?
Well, we sold ours in 1929. There's still an odd one around just for a museum, but there wasn't many used after about 1929.
Right. And the peanuts, this is probably around the 50s, or what? How much was the seed and how much to the acre, pounds per acre did you plant?
Oh, roughly 37.5 pounds to the acre we used to plant. We'd take the light ones we blew over on the thrasher and get them shelled at the peanut board, and they'd shell them for about a half a cent a pound, and they were shrivels, and you used to get a good plant because there was no such thing as seed dressing back in those days.
Right. No, 4 rows on the tractor, but was it 2 rows on the horses, I guess?
Well, when we were with the horses, we were only on 1 row.
Oh, right. Be slow going, eh?
Oh, well, you used to poke along.
Yeah. We've got the cultivating the peanuts to keep the weeds out here, obviously, 2 rows.
Yeah, the cultivator and then the chipper nail.
Right. And trefoil and that, was that around in the
No,
60s or so?
No such thing back in them days.
All right. What have we got here?
That's an L cutter. That's the way we used to cut the peanuts, cut the taproot, make them easier to pull.
Yeah, I guess how did the peanuts come out in the early days? You obviously had to use your hands.
Oh, before they had the L cutter, they used to use what they call a swing plough and take the shear, the moldboard off it. Just use the shear and just cut the taproot with that.
Okay. And this is how they got out of the ground, manpower.
Yeah, manpower.
And how many acres a day would one bloke do?
Well, it was a good crop and a good honest puller. He could pull about 1.25 acres a day. If you got a light crop, you could get up to 3 acres a day.
Right. That was pretty backbreaking, obviously.
Well, the first 3 days were the worst. After you got over the third day, you wasn't too bad.
Right. We're making a stook here, is it?
That's what they call a stook. They're really, if they're made properly, they're real weatherproof. The peanuts, they mature in there, and they come out beautiful colour.
Right. And how many stooks were there to an acre?
Oh, you could get round about 40.
Okay. And these picking up the stooks here, they're doing it by sticks to start with, was it?
Oh, yes, we used to use 2 sticks on them to pick them up, but now they got a bit lazy and they're using the tractor.
Right. And when would this be? Around the 50s?
Yes, I'd say it could be in the 50s.
They forked and picked them up and forked them in the stationary thrasher, and that sorted the leaf out from the peanuts and that, did it?
Yeah, that sorts out all you get out the back is peanuts.
Right. And then they bagged them, did they?
Yep. Come off into the bags and have the bloke sewing them there and then another bloke stacking them.
Right. There's a fair few men to do the job of...
Yes, you used to have around about 8 or 10 blokes there doing different jobs.
Right. And this hay, obviously, it's not being kept there, but you made that stack in the steam engine days.
Yeah, we used to always stack ours for the cattle.
Right. And did that hay, it sort of shed the water, did it?
Oh, yes.
It's a stack.
We used to put a bit of salt with it too, and made it a lot better for the cattle.
Okay. Now we've gone from bringing the stooks to the thrasher to going to the stooks.
Yeah, that's the walkie-talkie.
Right. And they lifted a stook up on the side and drove forward to the next one.
Yep, they just keep going with that all the time.
Right.
Bit hard work for the bloke on the fork.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And how many bags an hour would you do with those sort of machines?
Oh, I do 50 to 60.
So it's around about 1.5 tons or so.
Well, it's roughly about 44 to the ton.
Right. And that makes how many pounds to a bag?
50 pound to the bag.
50. Right. Who made these thrashers? Were they a local or?
Most of the thrashers were made locally.
And what have we here?
Oh, That's a stoking machine built by Jimmy Eckard.
Around what year were they done?
Oh, just hard to recall when that was. It was a long time ago.
Right. No, towards the end of the stooking days, were
Yeah,
they?
it'd been, I'd say, in the 50s.
Right. And they as good as a man or not?
Oh, they didn't have a proper bottom put in them. When you made the stook, you stood them on the leaves down and then fanned them around them, whereas these have got no bottoms in them.
Right.
You can get wet weather and they can get a bit wet under there and go mouldy on the
Okay.
bottom.
And that seems to come under and that goes down, that goes and does another one.
Yeah.
Right. We have the pulling of the peanuts here by the looks of it, is it?
Yeah, that's a 2-row puller by the look of it.
Has gone away from pulling by hand to the tractor power took over, huh?
Made it a lot easier.
Hey. No chains. How'd they come about?
Oh, Jimmy Eckard finally built that model, but Ted Evans built the first mechanical puller there was a single row. Worked quite satisfactory, but it wasn't fast enough with 1 row, so Jimmy sort of took some of his ideas and built a 2-row.
Right. And what, are they standing peanuts up here, or what's...
That's so they dry a lot quicker.
So that come out of the 2-row puller and they're putting 4 into 1, is it?
Yes.
Right.
Makes them dry a lot quicker and keeps them up and if you get rain on them.
Right. Well, this is that peanut thrash. We go to a pickup. Obviously they end up in the rows and then they pick them up with the pickup now. Save the walkie-talkie.
Yes, it makes it a lot easier.
This, I think, is apparently a stationary thrasher converted, an American stationary converted with a pickup on it. It didn't have drums in it, and it used to just drag the peanuts over wire mesh, was how it thrashed the peanuts off, apparently.
Yes, put quite a few sticks in them too.
Right. They had a motor up on the thrasher there. Was that, why did they have that there?
Oh, instead of driving with the power take off, they drove it with a motor. Looks like a Wisconsin to me.
Okay.
They called them the peanut picker.
Because they're American or just
Yeah,
a different...
They're American.
Were there many of them out here, or...?
Oh, there were a few, not such a lot though.
There's sort of less and less people now working to do the peanut harvest.
It's getting to the stage where it only takes about 2 of you to run the whole show.
Right. Now we've got a locally built machine, are they?
Yes, that looks like a local built one.
They've still got the engine up on the top there to drive the thrasher.
Yep,
Right. That's how you drop the bags off, is it?
drops them off in a heap.
Then you'd have to come along and stack them up again, do you?
Yeah, come along and stack them up. And it looks like it's going to rain tonight. Will you cart them in
Right.
or stack them up and tarp them down?
How many bags did they increase the capacity of those thrashers?
Oh yes, they did increase a fair bit. Could get up around 60, 70 bags an hour.
Right. And the old Fords are now on the front of it.
Yep.
Seemed like he's going pretty quick there.
Hey, he's poking along, he's not wasting any time. Must think it's going to rain, I think.
Showing the prize crop, eh?
Yep.
Well, what's this one?
Oh, that's that auto one that George Richings had.
Oh, yeah. It was built, how was it built on a header frame?
Built on out of a header.
They're still bagging them then, huh?
Yeah. I think there's only about 2 of them ever made.
Right. Well, looks like things got wet back then, eh?
Yep. You can have a bit of fun when you get wet.
What was a wet year back then? When...
Oh, I wouldn't know. We had a few of them back in those days.
A bit frustrating. They're sort of well and truly bogged. Was it 56 was a wet one, was it not?
Yes, around about that year I think it was.
And we're loading the bags on a truck here, obviously.
Yep, that's the way I used to take them up to the board.
So they got handled a few times, the bags, did they?
Oh, they got handled a lot of times. They'd probably put 300 on that truck, 300 to 350.
Right. That loader, that bag loader thing, yeah, they just put a bag on, it come up?
Oh, it's worked hydraulic. That belt thing in the middle, as soon as the pressure comes on that, it makes it work.
Right. I guess there's a lot of pride in stacking the bags on the trucks, was there?
Yep, if you didn't do it right, they could fall off.
How many bags, say, on a truck that size would you have gotten?
Oh, I'd say there'd be about 400 on that one.
Oh, that's a mission. Overloading was never a thing, was it?
No, no.
It's a fairly high stack, that one.
You're well up near that one.
It's stacks of bags, are they?
Yes, that's how they used to stack them once the silo was full. The one year there we had that many peanuts, they didn't know what to do them, so they stack them outside like that.
Right. This is back in Ruhlin on the train, is
Yep,
it?
that's in Ruhlin on the train. You can see the old crane there.
Oh, yeah. They were taken, you brought them in from the farm to there and taken to Kingaroy then?
Yes, that's the way we used to get them to the board years ago.
Around about what year may have this been?
Oh, be back in the 30s, I'd say.
Right.
We used to cart them in with the horses and wagon before we had a truck.
Yeah. The steam train did the job by the looks of it.
Yes, they done a really good job. They took some big loads up there. They even got a bag loader there.
Oh, yeah. Made life a bit easier, right?
Yeah.
When the steam engines go out in Ruhlin, when were they used?
Oh, they were used up till about 20 years ago, I'd say.
It looks like it going up the hill there with a load of bags.
Yep, looks like it.
The rich hills of gold were being cleared of forest and scrub. The contrast to the European conditions from which most of the pioneers came was becoming evident. With climatic differences like prolonged drought, then intense summer storms on unprotected soils, erosion became a problem. Deep washouts occurred, and fences at the bottom of slopes were slowly being buried. The formation of the Government Soil Conservation Services in the USA and New South Wales prompted the Bank of that state, which recognised the threat of erosion, to publish a book called Conserve Your Soil in 1940. Stan Peterson and Harry Royal saw this book as the answer to their problem. Frank Skinner taught Artie Kerr how to use a level and how to mark contour banks. Cole and Ron Grayson from West Ruhlin introduced it here around that same time. These early narrow-based contour banks were constructed with a steel wheel tractor and disc plough. Many farmers said this newfangled idea of contouring was a joke because it broke open paddocks into small ones with awkward corners and point rows. They hoped it would fail. Artie had an uphill battle but forced them to accept the idea. Also, farmers put banks in on their own needs. On their farm, the runoff water usually found its way to the road via other properties. The idea of look after your farm, I look after mine was no longer acceptable. The invention of hydraulic dozer blades on farm tractors enabled farmers to do their own earthworks. In 1953, Stan Pink, with Stuart James, established the Ruhlin Swamp Catchment Plan, using aerial photos to plan the proper disbursement of water from one farm to another via waterways, and also diverted the run off from the town under the railway and road to the swamp. The coordination between the main road, railway, council and farmers was a remarkable and rewarding feat with lasting benefits.
Well, we've got Wayne Weller is going to help us through the more modern day part of the video. We've got some off-farm activity here, putting up the sheds when we're out of the paddocks. I think the work, health and safety, you'd like to see that, wouldn't they? Yeah. Looks like I must have got the better of him, time to get down. I think this was around about 1968. The sheds started going up, or the bigger sheds around the area.
Yeah, as the machinery got bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't park horses in sheds, can we? Yeah. Into the two-row puller, we had the earlier ones on the H's. We moved up to the little Massies now.
Same principle, just fitted to the three-point linkage, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jim Eckhart built those ones. We've got the drying bins in the background for the bulk handling of peanuts away from the bags. That earlier on we had the uprighting of peanuts by hand, now the rakes were used.
Yes, this had to be careful doing this, that you didn't knock too many off in the process. Slow and steady.
I imagine the rakes didn't do quite as good a job as the manpower at standing them up.
This machine eliminated the raking by placing 2 rows and then coming back in the other direction and placing the other 2 rows across on top.
That's what that tail is on the back there.
That's right.
Right. Looked like a good year there, or a soakage perhaps, eh?
Say a good year.
Oh, that's where it swung across there.
Handy crop.
Yeah, they were still VBs growing then, were they? When
Yes,
did they go out?
VBs were with us right up until 1994. I think I'm still with us now, but not grown to any great extent.
Now we've gone away from the pickup bag thrasher to a pickup bolt thrasher. These were a locally made machine, were they?
Yeah, it's made in Kingaroy. This particular machine made by Kingaroy Engineering Works.
The Eliminator, we went from, 6 to 8 guys on the stationary thrashers to 3 would have been on the pickup bag thrashers.
Yeah, well, a lot of these machines were just driven by the tractor operator and basically needed another man in a chaser truck.
What capacity would have these been? How many bags an hour do we reckon you do?
These, at their best, I think, were around that 80 to 100 bags an hour. Good crop, good conditions.
See how it ends up in the truck, huh?
Yeah, much quicker.
Yeah, it seemed to be the bags got double handled a number of times, but now you don't touch the peanut at all.
No, it is possible to get them to where they've got to go without touching them with the human hand.
What's that old truck? Any ideas?
It's a Morris.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So they didn't just make cars. Well, what's going on here now?
This out of the truck over a pre-cleaner that eliminates sticks, stones and fine dirt, oil kernels, and cleans the sample up for better, more uniform drying and hopefully a better price at delivery.
So these peanuts went from the truck now into the drying bins, or what moisture were they?
Generally when they come off, I think they were around the 15 to 18 and then dried hopefully to 12 and a half, 13.
Right. Now we've gone into the 4-row pullers by the looks of it.
4-row chain puller built by Eckhart Engineering of Waroolan. The principle was similar to the early ones with the 2 rake wheels on the back to take the two rows and place them together in an inverted situation or semi-inverted.
What year were they ended up 4Os? When did they start then?
They were brought out in the early 70s. I think it would have been 71, 72.
Right.
The first of the 4O pullers.
Looks like the paddocks got bigger and grew more peanuts and more thrashers now.
Yeah, I think as technology has progressed, the key to most of the harvesting is speed, and I think need to get the crop off quicker.
What year did these come in? These are the bins on top of the thrasher.
They were built first, I think, when the early S8 was the first model, and I'm not real sure. I think that was probably mid to late 60s. The bin on top configuration was built. They went from the S8 then to the S10, through the S11, through to the S12.
Right. We've got a different way of straight into the pre-cleaner, not into a truck now.
Yes, eliminated the need for a chaser truck.
Still just as dusty, but we've got the air-conditioned cabins, I guess.
Yes, much warmer on the cool winter nights too.
This pre-cleaner just cleaned the sample up to the standard and put them into a different way of drying.
Yeah, it's a very efficient system, having the minimum depth of peanuts to dry. I suppose you'd call it a radial action.
Other than that, they were called crab pots, I think. Well, we're taking the peanuts to the silos now. They're in Kingaroy. Taking them up in the truck now. Earlier on it was the steam train took it to Kingaroy in bags, and now we've got the bulk handling, makes it a bit easier. So we go under here and get tested, is it?
Yes, truck pulls up under the gantry. The auger's controlled from the top. It's on rails, and the load's probed a number of times. A sample of about between 5 and 10 kilos is taken, and it's tested for moisture and aflatoxin content.
Do we get the 10 kilos back or not?
I'm not too sure. Probably not.
That trailer there, they hold about 11 tonne of peanuts would be in a trailer load there. This is how they get out of the trucks.
Yes, tipped up platform, tips both prime mover and trailer. Makes speed for throughput, not having to unhook the prime mover. Peanuts are tipped into a pit and elevated through cleaners into storage bins with a continuous sample being taken as done.
Looks like you undo the gate and you get out the way quick, huh?
Stand back.
And down the pit they go. Looks like we can't get